Silver goals are coming your way shortly. Tim Howard, Robbie Earl, Rebecca Lowe with you. Tim, could Ruben Amorim have done anything more to prevent that today?
Well, I think it's always, the question is always about systems, and we see it with Ange Postecoglou. That's probably the leading headline of the season, is just a manager not willing to change. Ruben Amorim was interesting because he stuck with his lineup, he stuck with his tactics, and then very quickly had to hook Xerxes and change. Robbie and I were discussing it. He changed it a little bit. It wasn't full out, but he had to stop the rot in the midfield, and he tweaked it a little bit. He's going to have to figure it out. I get what he's saying. He talked to Gary Neville, and he said, look, if I change who I am as a manager, I completely lose my team. That's not true. It's not true. What he needs to do is, in certain positional profiles, have an idea of how they're supposed to play. But you can tweak things. You can stuff another player in the midfield. You can go to a back four at times. It doesn't always have to be exactly the way you're going to do it. And I think he's learning that quickly. It's interesting because you mentioned that pre-game interview with Gary Neville, in which he sort of said a coach changes their philosophy, changes their belief, they die. And yet he had to slightly change it today.
He got Mainu on, who was better, who gave him a spot at the back. He got Eriksson playing from the left side, but was really a third midfield player. And as soon as we got the team sheet back, we looked at him and said, Casemiro and Eriksson in the middle of the park, worry. And he's got to have to look back at that and say, did I get that right? And I don't think he did. I don't think in any way he could say he didn't have the athleticism, didn't have the capacity to go toe-to-toe with the three Newcastle players who won the game. The problem I'm getting at the moment for Manchester United is, I understand they're not winning games, but this is about learning. Well, what did we learn against Wolves? Bruno gets sent off. I'm not sure what we learned. What have we really learned today? They were better second half. Newcastle dipped off a little bit and United were a little bit better because of circumstances, but it's not great. It's mediocre at very best. So, of the players that he's got and the tests that are going on, how many are we starting to get to a conclusion on? Where are we down the road of like getting to something like a best 11? Was it 11 games now in all competitions? We should be getting a feel of where we are at the moment. It still feels like lots of balls are up in the air.
I mean, give me some names that he would keep.
Ahmad, Garnacho, Bruno, the goalkeeper.
Would they do better, this Manchester United team, Tim, if he did change his system, do you think?
Slightly. So
it's not the system, it's the players?
No, it's not.
No,
the system is a bit of a get-out.
Yeah, the players just are. I mean, I looked at it today, Rashford, Yaro, Mainu, Garnacho, those are probably his four best players. They started on the bench, you know, and so it's taken far longer to work this out. Look, I think I've always stood by the fact they need to trim some of the fat, get some players out in January, which will be difficult, get a couple in. Certainly an overhaul in the summer. I would be shocked if we get to the summer and through the summer and there's not a complete overhaul of this squad.
I mean, you can't a complete overhaul with maybe they'd like to do, but that's quite difficult. I mean, Robbie picked out four players. How many do you pick out that he would definitely keep?
Yeah, I'm on board.
Same four?
Yeah, I mean, look, Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I mean, who did you say?
Onana, Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad.
Yeah, Onana, just
possibly.
Just you know.
Ahmad, yes.
Ahmad, yes.
Bruno Fernandes?
Fernandes, for sure.
The other one you picked out was
Mainu. Yeah, definitely Mainu. Yeah, absolutely.
There's the potential of those, but outside
but you can't
of that,
get rid of the rest of them, can you?
No, you can't. You can't.
Well, it's interesting today, Bex, when I've looked at both teams, and I said it before the game, and I'm happy to say it again, the team in black and white have got better players than the team in red.
Far better players.
So systems and how you play and all that goes into it, but the black and white team are better, were better coached, had more energy, wanted to go about their business, and you see the kind of run they're on.
And talking about Newcastle, it was a bit of a stop-start first sort of quarter of the season, wasn't it?
Mid-table at one point, and people saying, oh, has Eddie gone so far with this team? He's refreshed them, they've come again, they've had their injuries that they've dealt with, and that looks like a proper team. You see him at the end, that looks like proper team spirit.
We've said this over and over. I mean, you can't give Eddie Howe enough credit. He's a fantastic manager. He's got some good players, but, I mean, the profile of this team, the way they go about their business, the way they run and charge around and defend and get at it, it's a fantastic team.
OK, congratulations to Newcastle United. Loads more to come on Golden, but we're going to take you back to our commentary team. Lee Dixon alongside John Champion. Gentlemen, they're giving us about 4 names as we start to go through this squad. Good luck to Ruben Amorim getting rid of about 20 players in the summer, by the way.
Yes, yeah, my concern at the moment is for my colleague here, who spent the evening being so angry How are you at the moment?
I'm okay.
You calm down?
Yeah, I mean, it's football. You know, we can get emotional about it, and I do get emotional when I see players not doing their best. Not so much, we all have bad games, we all do things, make mistakes, but they're just the basics. I said in commentary, you've got to go back to basics. And I get what Amarin's saying about this is who I am, this is my style, and I don't blame him for not changing. He wants to win games, he can tweak it, as Tim said. But ultimately, George Graham played 4-4-2. Arsene Wenger played 4-4-2, no other shape. That's what he played. And he fit the players into that system because he had a lot of good players. These players have got to go home tonight and all look at themselves and go, right, in front of the mirror, did I do my best? I made a few mistakes. Did I give everything for the shirt that I'm wearing? And majority of them say no. I felt sorry for Højlund. I felt sorry for Kirksey going off like he did and getting clapped by his own supporters. Yeah. I've never seen that at Old Trafford. So the fans have turned against him. Amarin's got a massive job, the boys have already said, and keeping 4 of them, I think that's quite a lot.
But I mean, you say what the players should be doing. On the evidence of what we've seen so far, that's not happening. So where do they go from here?
Well, that's the point. He needs time. If the players can't fit into his system and they're not doing good enough, he can't change them all at once, because that can't just happen, because there's a lot of them out there. So he's got to go through this process till the end of the season, and then he'll have 2 transfer windows. By the end of the summer, he'll have a team when he start again next season that he can say, oh, that's more or less, going on the way to that.
I'll give you 10 seconds to say something positive. Smile and say something nice about Newcastle.
Brilliant. I thought the setup, their team, their energy, everything the boys have said, fantastic, really pleased from great football club. Fans were brilliant. How many seconds is that?
You still haven't smiled, have you?
Yeah.
Maybe we can ask for too much. So Alexander Isak got one of the vital goals tonight. 6th Premier League game in a row in which he's been on the score sheet. So let's hear from him down in the tunnel.
That first half was devastating. What was the key to that victory tonight?
I think we got off to a good start. Intensity, we pressed them high, regains, counter-attacks. I think we've done it really well and got 2 goals, so obviously a comfortable start. And then it was about closing, going backwards. So I think the performance today was really good, offensively and defensively.
How did you hurt Manchester United so effectively?
I think we have good quality when we win the ball to counter. But it starts off with the press and pressing as a team with intensity. And when we win the ball, we want to go straight forward. And yeah, today we scored 2 beautiful goals, so it was a good feeling.
Yeah, for your goal in particular, you were unmarked 6 yards out. I bet you couldn't believe it, could you?
Yeah, the ball took a bit of a deflection, so no, I mean, my job is to be in the box when the ball is there, so I was there, and another goal.
6 games in a row now you've scored in the Premier League, obviously a hat-trick within that as well. Are you feeling as good as you felt on that pitch for Newcastle?
I don't know. All I know is I feel good. I think we're playing really good at the moment, and I'm feeling confident as well. So obviously you enjoy playing like we do now, and it's beneficial for me as well.
Yeah, he's on some run. He must feel like every time he plays, he's going to score at the moment.
Yeah, that's the lovely feeling you get when you're a centre forward. We looked at him before the game, didn't we? We looked at the array of goals that he scores. It can be with anything, his head, his left foot, his right foot. He's a good finisher, good in the air. Another header today. He's top class in every way. I love he's just class. He uses class, the way he goes into certain positions. I love some of his runs, the way he stays on side. This is his goal. He was right, the ball did take a deflection, and that probably did it for Manchester United, because if that ball comes in flat, Phil, it's much easier to defend.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't get a touch, I think Harry's in the right position to defend the ball. And yeah, it took a wicked deflection, and unfortunately it's in the back, for United point of view, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, as you see, always getting into that 6-yard box, Steve. He knows where the goal is, he knows where most goals are scored. And
I think it's the timing of his movement. Like he manages to stay on side. He manages to time it just at the right time, where he can get a head on it or get a touch with a volley or a half volley. He does it really well and really effective as well.
And Harry Maguire there saying, "I've got the runner." If my lip reading skills are on blob, and he did have the runner, but obviously Isak was just ghosting him behind. So it was an unfortunate deflection, but still the ball's landing in your 6-yard box. You've got 3 centre-halves and 2 wing-backs. You should have enough bodies to head that out.
Yeah, from a central defender's point of view?
Yeah, both goals are avoidable, I think. I think even the build-up before the goal, very easy, just one switch of play. No real great pressure on the ball. I mean, wide players these days, I feel they don't need much of a... they only need half a yard to stick the ball in, so you've got to get tighter, force him wider. Not good enough from United's point of view, and a simple header for Isak.
And just on him, 25 goals in this calendar year in the Premier League. That's more than Salah, more than Haaland, only battered by Cole Palmer.
Yeah, he's seriously good. Newcastle have done so well to get him, and he won't.
Develop him,
yeah. And obviously to feed him as well. You know, Newcastle have got some good players that are in attacking positions that they get the ball to and play to his strengths. And of course, he won't be on the market. I mean, he'd be one of the most sought-after players. But if he was, then I'd say that only Manchester City probably wouldn't or couldn't do with him. I mean, Erling Haaland is that number 9, isn't he? But apart from that, he would walk into any team in the Premier League in that position.
Yeah, Joe Linton got the second goal. And as you say, again, from a United point of view, they'll be disappointed with the build-up and the way the ball came into the box again.
Yeah, just too easy to play through. Not enough pressure on the ball. You see the wide area here. He just chops back, and there's no real pressure to go and get up to the ball. It's a simple ball in, and Lisandro Martinez has got caught underneath the ball a little bit, and he's just... Yeah, it's a powering header. Really difficult to stop when he gets a run on you, but he's got to do better. Got to stop the cross coming in first and foremost, and got to be stronger in the box. And 2 really simple goals, 2 very sane goals. And like I said, Man United give themselves a mountain to climb in the second half.
Harry Maguire here, I mean, he goes and sticks on Isak, doesn't he? Obviously, Isak scored the first goal, a similar goal to that. Is there anything in that where he's sort of... You could accuse him of the first goal, but then he's almost like, well, I've got my man, I'm not moving from my man this time. And all of a sudden, because he says, I was getting the runner on the first one. Well, actually, if he's watching the runner on this one, he probably heads it out. But this time, he almost glues himself to Isak. Just have a look at this, Phil. What do you think here? I mean, he just goes and glues himself. But if he goes with the runner, he'll have a chance of saving it.
If he actually stays in his position there, rather than engaging with Isak, he probably heads the ball away. But as a defender, you always get attracted to the man, and sometimes... Listen, you've got to stop the cross. He's 2 yards off him. This cross has come in. Maybe if he stays in the position, but I just think that just the cohesion between the back 3, back 5, you know, the way Newcastle performed today, the triggers that they set all over the pitch. You've seen Isak said in the interview after the game, the intensity they pressed that. United couldn't handle it in the first half, and then on the flip side of that, you look at United. It was very slow. The build-up was very laboured, and you couldn't really see the patterns of play forming. And then second half, they gave a little bit more of an intensity. They moved the ball around a little bit quicker, but couldn't really find the killer pass or the killer instinct to go and hurt Newcastle. And it was a really good performance, a solid performance from Newcastle.
We'll see this called a 170 checkout then. Gary Neville will be joining us a little later on. Of course, we've got the awards to get through and the predictions for 2025 as well. We'll bring you reaction as well very shortly. Jamie Carragher is with us tonight. We will be talking, of course, in depth about Manchester United. But will Newcastle United see this run of form as a stepping stone to Champions League football again?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at certain teams, you look at Aston Villa tonight, we normally put Aston Villa and Newcastle in the same sort of boat, really, where the teams who we really fancy to qualify for the Champions League, they've both been in that position where they've upset the apple cart, if you like, in terms of the notorious Champions League clubs. Aston Villa have drew tonight, Newcastle have won, and they're just on a little bit of run of form. Of late, they had a difficult start to the season, but it was interesting speaking to Eddie Howe before the game about just tweaking the balance and finding something a little bit different that we've seen in the last couple of years. And I think in midfield, that's a midfield that can go up against almost anything in the Premier League. That's a serious combination of 3 players there. They got a little bit of everything. I think we saw that certainly in that first half.
Well, we talk about how Manchester United might strengthen, but their opportunity potentially for Newcastle to do a little bit in January as well, to really reinforce their position. You wouldn't rule them out of that, would you?
No, I'm listening. I think when you speak to Eddie Howe, he still speaks about the PSR issues that the club have. I mean, Jacob Murphy's done brilliant in the last few weeks, but when you look at Newcastle, it is crying out for someone on that right side, probably with a left foot. You know, and we see that now, don't we, with, you know, almost every team. They've got it with Anthony Gordon on the right foot, coming inside on that left side, and he probably lacked that, you know, someone really special on that right side. I think that would be the next signing if you were Newcastle and Eddie Howe.
So was it all about the first 30 minutes? As much as Manchester United got it wrong, how Newcastle United got it right in terms of their approach to that first half an hour?
We said before the game, Dave, that they'd be on the front foot. You know, we saw how they performed against sort of Ipswich away, with Dan Burn jumping onto one of the 10s and Tonali taking the other one. I didn't think they would take a backward step, and why would you? You're playing a Man United team who were awful, in terrible form as well, had lost, I think, the last home game 3-0 to Bournemouth, so they were always going to be on the front foot. And as soon as I saw that team, I'm not being clever, after the game, you just looked at the lack of athleticism in that Manchester United team, and not just in central midfield. You looked at centre-back, you looked in the front three, you looked at Xerxes up there, he can't run, can't move. And I just looked at the energy and the pace in the Newcastle team, and I didn't see any way how Man United could win that game.